Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a craft tool review and how to use. I've already taken it out the packaging. I just bought it from Michael's. It was on clearance for 15 bucks, $15. You see how it says $29.99, but it was actually cheaper than that. And I got the square one. This comes with quite a few pieces. It has a pad, a paddle block, a square cog, a rectangle cog, a square wheel, a rectangle wheel, 4 sets of stamps, and a stamping or tools and tips technique book. And the reason why I got this is because Tuesday morning is having an awesome sale on some of their Inkadinkado stamping gear sets, and you know how I am about stamps, so I thought this would be cool to try. So I've already opened the packaging, and this is how it looks once you get it all out. It comes, like I told you earlier, it comes with a square and a rectangle, and then it has this book and some stamps. So what I've already done is I already got a stamp on the blocks, and I want to make some cards, but that'll be in the later series of the Inkadinkado stamping. Excuse the noise, I was moving a chair. But for now, this is just a review of how easy or not easy it is to use. And in my head, I always think that things are easy to do when sometimes they're not easy to do for me, but they may be easy to do for other people. Okay, so just going to move all this to the side, and I'm just going to just pull out some paper. I have this paper that I want to try and ink up, and I know that I'm using archival ink, which seems to be like my go-to kind of now, Ranger archival ink. But I'm going to be using this newsprint that I picked up from, excuse the move, movement up paper. I picked this newsprint up from Hobby Lobby before I moved to San Antonio, so I guess, I don't know when I picked it up. I don't know, but I picked it up nonetheless. And the reason why I want to use this newsprint is because you all know that I'm trying to do junk journals this year very soon. I'm thinking I'll have my first junk journal made in before December. Yep, can't make myself any promises right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this small square cog, and I'm using the ink, and I have it stamped up, and I'm using this butterfly stamp that we'll see if I get good coverage. And I'm just going to stamp the corners of this. Now I would tell you that you really need to decide what kind of paper, what kind of creation you're going to make, because these stamps, in my opinion, and see, you can probably restamp it even though it's not a stamping tool. Oh no, you can't restamp it. I messed that one up. I want to get right in there. So it's really cool, this design, even though it says that it's a patent pending. And I have this upside down, so I put the stamp upside down. That's something that you need to be aware of. And so it's not gonna move, but it's in a good position. And I will show you that. And I didn't really want to get like a second generation stamp, but I love how second generation stamps stamp out. So let's see. I think it stamps out really nicely. The only thing is this paper is very flimsy. It probably was not designed for this ink, because it says for use of dry media, for practice and experimental with dry media. So I probably need to just find some paper. I can't find the paper that I usually stamp on, my white cardstock paper, but this is pretty cool. Overall, I think it's very simple to use, and it does have a link to videos that you can go on. the Inkadinkado website, or you probably could just go straight into like a YouTube video and find out. The one thing I would tell you, and we can go back into this one right here, is that I do not really care for, with this pattern in particular, I do not care for how it would look if we were to go into every single gear portion of this square cog. Okay, or square block, or whatever we call it in the paddle block, because I think that it loses translation. It loses something in the translation of what you're creating. Please excuse my shadows. Why didn't you hold that? I just think that it's too much. If you notice that, I just think that it's too much for that instant of going over. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just sit this to the side, because I do want to play around with this stamp itself. I think that would be good on a card. Maybe, you know, like in the corners, the 4 corners, and then put like a big butterfly in the center of it. I do think that would be very cool. But what I will show you is something that can be like this. Is the other portion of this. See, this is a butterfly as well, but like these embellished pieces look really cool. I think they will look cool with this. This may even look cute, and that's a heart. But let's find this small piece. Let's look at this. This reminds me of like crown molding on a, is it crown molding? You know, like the corner pieces when you are designing your house or whatever, and you get to pick how you want it to look. So I'm going to just fold this over, because this is just test. This is test. It's not actual, let's make a card. And the reason why I say that is because I do plan on making some more videos in this. I'm going to just call it the Inkadinkado Gear Stamp series, I guess, or something like that. So you always want to start off with your appropriate tools, right? And the reason why I'm going up in this corner, because I just feel more comfortable with it looking like this. And this is designed for, says triple N paddle block for precise corners. I was going to say precision, but you don't see precision, you see precise. And it says insert either end into spaces on cogs and wheels, so it doesn't matter where you put it. Okay, so here we go, and I'm going to show you the difference between this smaller stamp versus that larger stamp. Even with that, I think that it looks a bit weird. So if you're going to do this, and we'll just turn the paper over because it is practice, right? Because that looks, that's too much, right? That's just definitely too much. And since I only have one ink color right now, we definitely don't want to do that. But if you get another sheet of paper, Brandy, and stop being so cheechy with paper. I mean, it was $1, right? I love the way newsprint feels. Like, if you are a Texan and you grew up in Houston, or you know anything about Houston, we used to have 2 newsprint companies. We used to have the Houston Post and a Houston Chronicle. And I loved the Post because they had different cartoon strips than the Houston Chronicle. You know, most of them are the same when it comes to what they publish, but sometimes they didn't have it. So they had some of the cartoon strips that weren't syndicated in the Post, but the Post went out of business, and the Chronicle went from being like this thick to like that thick, which is cool. And I got all of the comic strips in one, so that was really awesome. Like, let's say if we want to do that, but we don't want to do that. And maybe we should have, let's leave it like this for now. And what we're going to do is we're going to go every other. Okay, so we're going to go every other. I still think that looks weird, because I think that the operator should turn this stamp over and try this edge. So all I did was just turn it over. Maybe even like this, right? Because you can position this any way you like. Any way you want it, you can put it on there, right? The thing is, if you put it any kind of way you want, you have to be ready for where it's going to stamp out, right? And that's just weird. Who, you know, who does that? No one but me. So we're gonna, you know, and we're experimenting, trying it out. And I would say that for this review, it pretty much does what it says it's going to do, which is allow you to have precision stamping. Like, that's even better because you're making a square. Your position will depend on what cog or wheel you use, which is fine and dandy, unless you have like a circle one. And, you know, maybe you want to do a circle on here. I don't have a circle cog or wheel at the moment. But, you know, since I'm doing a series of Inkadinkado Gear, I will probably get that. Now, the one thing I will tell you, if you noticed, and this is all operator, if you notice right here, you see how the lines are off, and that's all me. Because what you really want to do, or you don't have to, it's up to you on your effect that you want to have when you're using this, is you want to push it all the way in, right? And I haven't been pushing mine all the way in. I've just kind of been lazily putting it on there. So if I want to put it right here on the next one, let's do this one. You see? Now they line up and they actually make a different design or pattern, which is good. I think that's super cool. So, of course, you know, you're only as good as your equipment is, right? No. You're only as good as the equipment when you use it properly. So if I push it all the way down on there and we do every one, I was off a little bit on that, trying to rush. You'll notice the difference, okay? Which still, I think that if I had different inks, that would be really cool. That would be really pretty. So overall, I think that this was worth the money. And plus, you know, if we're just talking about the stamps themselves, you get 16 cool little stamps. And you don't really need this gear to, you know, let's just say if this was my card, right? Say if this was my card. And I needed this because, you know, with the stamps, because this stamp, the stamp I'm using came in the packaging. And I wanted to create these on the corner of this project. I could do that. Definitely could do that. Just got to remember the placement. And you wouldn't even need this platform. You can use your own acrylic block or whatever you have to create perfect precision for yourself. So this is definitely something that if you were in the market to get, you could get, because it has limitless possibilities, especially with these stamps. And the first stamp I used was this butterfly. So let's just talk about that really quickly. So now that I've gotten this card, we're going to call this a card, right? We're making a card. We've got our bases down. Everything kind of looks symmetrical. Then we're going to take this beautiful butterfly. It has a clock. It looks like a clock right here. It doesn't look like it now, but when the stamp's out, in my opinion, it looks like a clock. So we apply it down on here and we ink it up, okay? Get it good and inky, because we like to have good inked things, right? And you just put this right in the middle or semi-middle, and you go from there. And look, you've created something beautiful. Not only that, but let's just say, for example, you did not want to get your butterfly on here, and we're not even using the gears. We're just using this pretty piece right here, right? Because now I have my corners, I have my focal point, which is that all I do is I just stamp this portion right here. I take my little piece and I put it right here. And look at that. And I do the same thing again. I do the same thing right here, right? Because again, we're not getting our butterfly, we're just getting the pieces, the edge of the butterfly, the top of it, or the tip of it. And we could have did that with that as well. But to tie it all in, we take these pieces and we create something pretty cool with it, right? So now we've taken this, and I know that this is crooked. This is just a review of the gears, the stuff itself. So, and it's not a real card. But if it were, you know, we could do this, and if we had different colors, we could do that. Or we could have probably taken our little end piece and turned it this way and had it come right off the edge like that. I am definitely into, I've been watching a little bit more of the mixed media videos from scrapbook.com. They have classes that I've signed up for, and I was watching Mr. Holtz. And, you know, I've just been getting into some more stamping, better stamping techniques, things to definitely improve on my craft, the things that I want to do and love. And so I'm definitely about not being so nice and neat on the paper. I still don't like to get my hands and stuff dirty, but that's another story. Anyway, I would say overall, for the price that I paid for this tool that I've purchased and incorporated into my crafty space, I think it's a pretty good deal. You get these big pieces. Now, the only thing that I would say is that I think that maybe, just maybe, some of these pieces are a tad bit too large. And the reason why I say that is because I usually work in A2 cards, the basic size card. I don't usually work in larger cards. So if I'm using basic cards to ink up and create and design, this would have to be, I would have to work on the inside of this, which is fine because here we are with this inside, and it's perfect because it tells you where to go to create your steps. And I'm just holding this down because I'm clumsy and I could probably bump this and mess it up. And you see how we just created this, and now that looks beautiful. I'm going to do all 4 of the corners and bring it up so you can definitely see it. See how it looks and go from there. The instructions say to clean this, all you need is warm soapy water, which is awesome because you don't need any type of fancy cleaning tools, cleaning equipment. Now look at that. I know I just screwed that little piece up, and I probably could try to get that, but look at this. Tell me this is not something that you could definitely put on your card or even on envelopes when you're sending out your friend mail, happy mail. You know, you can stamp it up a little bit, or you could take this, emboss it in different colors, or glam it up and make it as pretty as you want it to be. Let's see, we're going to use another sheet of paper right here. And then we're going to do our rectangle, because a review is not a review if you don't use everything, you know, all the pieces that you need to review it in, right? So let's see, we're in frame, and we're going to do on the inside again, because the outside, I don't really think we need to do the outside. And we're using this because, you know, who doesn't like butterflies, right? So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and do the same exact technique, which I love this inside punch a lot better, this inside gear a lot better than the outside gear. And I will show you why I like that better than the other one. Now, this is probably a tool that was definitely designed for a righty. But as you all know, I am not a righty, I'm a lefty. So switching hands is not a big deal. But even here, so like you just see, we did this, and this is still a good size for a nice pretty card to send to someone who you feel like you want to send a card to. But we're going to turn this around. We're not going to use the edge again. We're going to turn it right around, And we're going to stamp right in the center of there. And you see how it just changes the entire effect of the card, because now what we're going to do is we're going to stamp here, and it may do a little bit of an overlay. And that's okay, because this is just practice. We're just practicing. Okay, so this we probably could leave out because it looks a bit too much now. But it's still a really nice card. And this is really good because if this was an actual card, let's just put that right there. This was an actual card, and let's just say we were already on the fold and everything was good to go. This would be cute. I wouldn't use black because butterflies need color. You know, you don't need to be one solid. They need some more color. But that is pretty cool. And let's go ahead and stamp on the outside of this and see how that looks. And then, you know, we'll be done with this review because this is 20 minutes and I've probably rambled way longer than I needed to. But overall, like I said, I would definitely, I have already invested in it, so I will not be taking it back because I want to try different things, different techniques. I want to definitely try and expand my craft knowledge. I'm just tearing paper, making a lot of noise, going super slow. Okay, so we're going to use our butterfly again, and we're going to just stamp this out. Now, if you notice, all of the ridges on here are the exact same size. So, if you were fancy and can do math really well, I'm not one of those people, you could probably figure out how to do that. But this tells you where your center is. It lets you know that, so you don't have to worry about that, which is awesome. So if I started out in the center of this card, let's just say, let's make it more realistic, okay? So we have this big card that we're making because St. Patrick's Day is coming up, Easter's coming up, Mother's Day is coming up, graduation is coming up. Just because it's always a good time to send someone a beautiful newsprint card with some Inkadinkado on there. But let's just say we were using this and we want to stamp the center again or the edge. We don't have to use this entire card, this entire paper for that. It tells us where our center is right here and here. So we can just start right in on the edge, and we could just hold this in place. I'm going to switch my hands out. I'm not going to switch my hands out. I'm going to switch out this thing. I can't switch hands out. But if I wanted to, I could just start right here in the center. That's the center of the card. And I could just work from there. Okay. And see, I actually like second generation stamping, as you all know. I just think it looks really cool like that. But for the purpose of my eyesight, we won't be doing that. So you see, even with this, this is really cool, really nice, because if you pay attention to what you're stamping, you can say, okay, I've stamped right here. Let's do that one more time. I'm stamping in the middle, the center of the card, right? Let's turn it around. So I'm stamping in the center. I stamp my center out. Now I'm going to go from center, I'm going to go 2 over. So that's 1, 2, and I'm going to stamp in, excuse me, let's do 3 because it still looks like we're going to be on there. So 1, 2, 3, stamp. Okay, and then from my center again, 1, 2, 3, stamp. Now the beauty of this, we leave all this just like that. We come up here to our corner, and this is what those are for. And I don't want to stamp on the fun foam. We go right up here in our corner and we stamp this out. Okay, so, and then we can probably come over here and figure that out. But overall, I do, like I said, I do think this was a, you know, a worthy purchase. I know it was in a clearance. I've never seen it in any stores, but this is cool. So the only thing about this design is that the butterflies are facing opposite direction. You probably want your butterfly to be like this, facing you, versus the other way. And then you open up your card. You probably can even do some design on the inside of it. Anyway, I want to say thank you all for watching. Tell me if you have this in your craft supplies. Tell me if you have this cool little gadget that they created to help us make some fancy cards. Look, they tell you all the different possibilities. So tell me if you had this in your supply. If you have a Tuesday morning near you, did you take advantage of the sales that they have? I want to say thank you all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. Happy crafting.